Hey, welcome to SignalLens. This is our flagship product that we're going to share with you today called SignalSDR Pro. Before we go into the details of our SignalSDR Pro, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Kaijen. My friend called me X-Wings. I'm the founder of SignalLens, and I'm part of the designer team for SignalSDR Pro. I'm also working on an open source project. If you like open source project like I do, and if you're heavily involved with reverse engineering, you might heard of the two projects that I'm heavily involved with. One is called Capstone Engine and one is called Unicorn Engine. And of course, we have a Keystone Engine. So these are the few engines that I'm very involved with. And then after some times, I have this idea that I was thinking I should start my own project that able to emulate binary files. So we have that idea, we work on it, and that is how I started Chilling Framework on 2019. So ever since 2019 until now, Chilling Framework been very successful. We received around 5,200 GitHub stars. We have more than 200,000 PyP download. That is only PyP download, excluding the one that download the zip, excluding the one that clone the repository directly from GitHub. I'm also a very active speaker in various conferences like Hack in the Box, like DEF CON, like Black Hat, which I listed on the PowerPoint slides. And I always like to share topics like hardware hacking, like binary emulations, like security topics, and I love to work in tools that able to do emulations. So along the way, I discovered something. So there is one thing that a emulation or a software emulation not able to do, which is capturing wireless signal. So that leads me to look into all kind of software-defined radio solutions, right, to achieve what to achieve the targets that I wanted to achieve. So when I look at the solutions out there, I can easily separate all the product into different categories, right? You have the entry level model, you have the mid-range model, and then you have the enterprise level model. So to name a few, the entry models I think is most probably the one that everybody been seeing on the car hacking videos, reverse engineering wireless video hack RF1, very famous. But and then we have things like AirSpy, which is very famous, easy to get, but there are still pro and cons with this product, right? I mean, it's cheap, they have like very dedicated functions. So please do remember when it comes to a dedicated functions, what does it mean? Simply means it have limited function, right? So and then all these slightly entry level product, they have one issue. They either is half duplex. Half duplex simply means when you send a signal, you couldn't receive. And when you receive a signal, you couldn't send it, right? Or you are talking about a very low powered processor built into this device. So along the way, I did my research. I feel like things like HackRF, ASPI doesn't really fit into my requirements. So I started to look at a bit more advanced product. So I went into a mid-range product. So mid-range product like, Proto SDR, like Blade RF, right? They able to do more things. They got a slightly powerful uh, processor in there, but there are things that can't really suits my requirement. So it's not 100% programmable. I mean, you can use MATLAB, you can use a GNU radio to automate some signal analysis, but if you try to change things inside the firmware, you just couldn't do it, right? And then some of the product, they only have limited channel. They don't have the speed or the processing power that I need, right? So I started to look at things like a bit more advanced, which is things like USRP or Raptor from AMD. These things are good. These things are powerful. All right, I can forgive the point that, they are a bit more proprietary. It's not that customizable, it's not that programmable, but it's still acceptable in certain sense, right? But the only things that really, really, really kind of make me not too happy is the price. They are way overpriced. They are way not up to the price doesn't match the expectation that I've been looking for. Let's put it this way. So we do have some pro and cons between the enterprise level, the mid-range level, and the entry level. So what I was thinking, it's the enterprise level have a very good functionality. I mean, they don't have a very strong programmable capability, but they can process a lot of very wide range signals. They are full duplex. They have like multi-channels. But what if I can build something? I believe I can do it, right? What if I can build something with the mid-range price tag or slightly more than mid-range price tag, way more cheaper than the enterprise price tag? And is that possible for me to come out with a solutions? So that is what I was thinking. I want my SDR solution comes with, first of all, 100% customizable bootloader and firmware. So which means I can load whichever firmware I want and I can boot it up easily, right? So I'm not looking at something that after I write the firmware, I need to flash the JTAG, I need to flash the flash file with certain clips, or I need to do some soldering. No, I'm not looking at that. So I need to find some way to build a great product that doesn't require all kind of hardware skill in order for you to play with software-defined radio, right? So I need these things to be very small in size. USRP is big, Raptor it's big, so I need something smaller, way more smaller that you and me can accept and you and me can carry without people asking what is this, right? So and then GPIO, it's a must. So I wanted my SDR hardware to have a GPIO port, so and I can try to do a hardware. I can expand the capability. I can expand more hardware that can integrate into my SDR devices, right? And then everybody knows SDR, it's a very high heat product. I'm talking about temperature in this case, right? So how can we integrate a very good heat sink into the product? So these are the few things that I have in mind, right? So and then could we ever bring in a USB 3.0? Could we ever bring in a gigabit network? Could we ever bring in most probably Type C into the product? So that is the initial idea, and that is what we were thinking. So can we bring all these things in and try to put in, right? And it must be stronger than USRP. It must be stronger than Raptors. It must be way more cheaper than these two products. So cut everything short. We want a mid-range product price tag, and we want the enterprise level capability and more. So that is the dream. So that is a SignalSDR Pro, the product that we have been designing, we have been working on, and we are proud, very proud to release this product like right now, and you can purchase it right now, right? So you can see from the slides, we have a SD card slot, we have the put options, and then we have all these different parts, two sets of RX-TX, USB-C on these things. And let me show you this product closely, and this is how it looks like. Okay, this is the SignalSDR Pro. So we have two versions over here. This is for testing. We are not going to sell this, right? So the version that we're going to ship is this one. Comes with this thick metal casing. So this thick metal casing is not only a metal casing, it's a heat sink by design. So all the chips will transfer all the heats into this heat sink, okay, and it will be make the thing cooler, much more stable. So this is the version that we're looking at, and then we expose out the GPIO ports, so you can try to solder in all the GPIO's connectors, and you can reprogram the devices to work with the GPIO. So the transmit and receiving antenna, so this is the one that you can act as a GPS or the analog antenna, right? So you have your network port over here, USB 3.0 over here, right? And then so it's actually the same, it's just the casing is different. So you have your USB Type C, you have your USB OTG cables, and then there's a SIM card trace over here that you can boot from the you can boot the firmware from the SIM card. So there's a boot options pin over here, so you can boot from the SIM card. So 2 and 3 is to boot from the flash, and then 3 and 4 is to boot from the JTAG. So yeah, this is pretty much how the device looks like. Hope you like it, especially the metal casing versions. So this is the version that we're gonna ship. Extra cost, but we were like, you know, what the heck, we should ship with the proper version and a proper heatsink, right? So you have seen the two different version of SignalSDR Pro, the one with metal casing, the one with acrylic rod, right? So and this is the actual size of the product. All right, you have seen the product just now, and then you saw the actual size. And let me put onto my palm, and this is the actual size of the product, right? And then these are the detail spec, what kind of chipset that we are using. Range is from 70 megahertz up to a 6 gigahertz frequency. We are running on gigabit ports. We are running on USB 3.0. Of course, we do have a Type C port, as you might be able to see just now. All right, and then we support GPS DO. We also support JTAG debugger, right? So what kind of software can SignalSDR Pro work with? Or the software then you have been familiar, you have been working with. No extra configuration, no extra plugins that you need to put into all this software to work with SignalSDR Pro. So if you've been working with MATLAB, if you're working with GNU Radio, if you've been working with things like Open5GS, yes, everything, it's 100% compatible. We also compatible with USRP B210. We also compatible with Pluto SDR. So these are the things that we are compatible with. And let me share with you in details and other features that we have. I've been mentioning compatibility a couple of times just now, right? So on the previous slides. So what does this compatibility simply means? So if you go into details, you might be able to notice we do have a boot option. We talked about the boot option a couple of times just now on SignalSDR Pro. So what are the boot option simply means? The boot options is trying to tell us that you're able to boot from SD card, you are able to boot from the flash, and you are able to boot from JTAG. So you just need to change the jumper on the pin. The different sites will represent different way of booting SignalSDR Pro. And remember, we have a SD card slot, right? So which is right over here. So if you try to put your jumper here, and you try to put in an SD card, and you try to compile a firmware, name it boot.bin, put it over here, it will be able to boot your firmware. So remember what I said just now? I want to design a hardware that you're able to flash the firmware and no soldering required. You don't have to take out the casing every time you try to flash in the firmware. You just need to put in the SD card, set the right jumper, and you can boot your firmware straight away from the SD card. So what does this simply means? Remember the compatibility that we are talking about. So if you try to get a USRP B210 firmware, copy into the SD card, rename it to boot.bin as usual, like all the hardware do it, right? Slot it in, power up, this thing will be turned into USRP B210. If you try to put in a Pluto SDR firmware, so this is the one, you can get it from our GitHub repo for the Pluto SDR firmware. Again, copy into the SD card, slot it in, and power up, slot it in, power up, then you will turn your device into Pluto SDR. And there is no limitations, right? As long as you can figure out how to run a firmware, put into the SD card, slot into a SignalSDR Pro, it can turn into the compatible SDR software that you have been so familiar with. Again, you can modify the firmware to run and then to expand on the GPIO. So you have a very, very unlimited imaginations on how this thing can be, right? So it's a very open product. All the code is on our GitHub repo, and then we also prepare a lot of use cases on how to use Signal SDR Pro. So you don't have to worry about, you need to write a new plugin for your SDR software. You need to like MATLAB or Genuine Radio. You need to write a new driver. No, everything is just like how you used to be, how you use your software-defined radio software to analyze radio signal as before. The differences is you have a more powerful hardware and more hardware that able to expand into a more level of integration. So please do allow me to show you a demo on how Signal SDR Pro work, right? So I do have a screenshots over here. You can see Signal SDR Pro able to turn itself into 5G baseband. But please do bear in mind, it's a very, very short video, but it demonstrates two capability of Signal SDR Pro. Number one is it will turn this device into a USRP B210. So remember what I said just now? Slot in an SD card, right? Power on, put into the right jumper, then it will boot into USRP B210. So Open5GS will be able to recognize this device as USRP B210. And without modifying Open5GS, then Open5GS will load all the informations, all the data into Signal SDR Pro and turn Signal SDR Pro into a 5G base station. So that is demo number two. So number one is how we turn this thing into USRP B210 compatible device. And demo number two is running a 5G baseband. So two demo in one very short video, right? So please enjoy the video. everything will be in SignalSDR.com. Go to the top menu, look for GitHub, click onto it. Our repo, our code, our guide, our use cases, everything, it's over there. Thank you for watching.